This is literally a gift from God. I'm not even kidding. I was not searching for anything. I was letting the TV just run on YouTube, and this popped up on its own. I've looked at some of these videos before of Azusa, but I've never seen one this close up of him, this good of a view of him. Like, this is a gift from God to me. Like, this is crazy. Look at that. Look at that. Look what a good view of him. He's got the red drumstick. I've seen some videos like this, but this is the best view of him yet. I was not looking. It was just playing and came up. Maybe it's used to me searching and it's AI or something. I don't know, but I think it's God too, because this is such a gift. "2016 Azusa." He's on the main drum. There's 111,000 people. It's being televised across the world. They had other stadiums linked up as well. They were literally doing a worldwide prayer for the Billy Graham prophecy about the natives. The red stick, that's him. Look at that view! Oh my God! That's a gift from God to see that. Like, such a good view. And all these wonderful people that were sent to him after I left. All these wonderful people. All amazing people. So it all came true. All that stuff I told him all those years, every single day, it all came true and then some. I didn't give him up for nothing. And for the last 3 months, I've been studying his life, and I know almost all their names, all those people around the stage and on the stage with him. But at least I know God put him in the absolute best hands in the world. But what a wonderful view of him. That's amazing. Oh, it's still going. Oh, I like this song too. Is it going to keep going? Oh, I love that. And there's Rita Bear Gray dancing. I love how she dances. It's beautiful. And then they have 120 shofars and 120 drums. And he just pointed. So they're all going to start playing them. And they're going to bring up the dancers. Are going to come up on the stage during this. But look at Brian. That long gray hair right there. They're dancing their prayers. And God told me never go back. Get out of his way. I'd slow him down. He had too big of a mission. He had a lot of kids to save. He helped feed and save millions of kids from suicide, from starvation, from all kinds of stuff. He dedicated his life to kids, became a youth pastor. And I'm telling the truth, that guy, Brian, he He hated Jesus. He blamed him for the murder of all of his people. He had such pain in his eyes. He actually cried. And I was like, what? And I told him, I've got to tell you, I promised not to bring him up. But I got to tell you just this one thing to look in the mirror, to sleep at night, to face God. I got to say one thing. Please let me say it. And I said, please don't blame Jesus for what those people did. In his name, he would never have been okay with that. I said, please just get to know the man. Promise me someday you'll just get to know the man. Throw all the religion out the window, all of it, and just get to know the man. And I said, okay, there I said it. I'll never bring it up again, I promise. And every day for the next 4 years, I told him, you sure got a big anointing on your life for a guy that won't let me talk about a certain person. Because every time I went to touch him, he asked me to braid his hair. I got halfway through braiding it and I had to stop. There was such a holiness. And he goes, you can't even braid one side? I said, I feel like this is a wifely type thing, and like God's saying I can't do that because you're supposed to be married to your purpose, and I'm liking this way too much. It's making me want to be your wife. And he goes, I was hoping you'd braid my hair every day. I said, I'd like to play in your hair the rest of my life. Forever. But God himself is telling me, you have such an anointing. I can't get attached like that because you're going to be married to your purpose, and I'm going to have to back off. In our goodbye, he gave me his hair. He gave me horse hair, the same length, very long. It had beads on it, red, yellow, black, and white beads. It had a split feather on the hair, on his hair. He gave them to me and said, if you're ready for me as husband, go to the Lakewood horse stables and have them call BRYGHTCLOUD. They will find me no matter where I am in the world. And I don't know how fast I'll be able to get there, but we'll figure something out. That's how you find me. Or if you ever have an emergency and need anything. And I literally became homeless and didn't call him. I wanted to call him so bad. God said, no. He's on a mission. You gotta let him go. I've had my heart set on him since I was 19. Since I was 19 years old. And look how beautiful that is. My God. In Knott's Berry Farm was an 1800s atmosphere. He was able to be his Indian self 100% of the time. People are accusing me and lying about me out there. I never once chased him. I never once invited myself. He found me and asked me to lunch and breaks every single day for 4 years. And if it rained and we were stuck in there, it rained all month, he said, please stay with me. And I literally just stayed in that little room with him, an office turned dressing room, for 4 years. And we got very close because you can't be in a room that long with someone and not get close to them. And I just got so in tune with his voice. Everything he said, that voice just penetrated my mind like beautiful voice. Such peace and safety. He made me feel so safe. But I'm going to post a link to the whole video on my Facebook. And I've been crying for 3 months. I lost my freaking mind over it, and people don't understand because I was literally calling him. I was going to say, hey, we're getting old. Has your assignment slowed down at all? Is there any chance I can just at least talk to you on the phone and just say one thing? Do you remember me? And I was going to say, please tell me when you gave me your hair and horse hair. Whether you do or don't remember me, you might remember this. You said you prayed over it for 4 days. What did you say? What did you pray about? What did you pray about before you handed this to me for 4 days? What did you pray about? And I was hoping, and do you remember Knott's Berry Farm asking me every day to come have lunch and breaks with you? And then sometimes you'd walk with me while I'm sweeping the roads And he made it his mission to make as many people laugh as he could every day. And he drew whole crowds. He kept me so busy taking pictures of him and them so they could all be in the picture that it would block the streets. So I would help do that to try to clear the roads, and I have to use my loud voice and tell everybody, move over, you're blocking the road. Get in the line over here, please, against the fence. And then I'd say, Brian, I'm sorry, I got to go clean the bathroom and clean the streets. You draw on such a crowd, you're like a roller coaster ride over here with their lines. I gotta get the streets and roads clean and the bathroom, and I'll be right back. And I'd go do Ghost Town. We were in Ghost Town. That was our area for years. Ghost Town. They had an Indian town, but that was other people. He had Ghost Town to himself. They paid real actors, like the sheriffs, a couple times. Was Donald Sutherland, things like that. They had real actors playing many parts through the whole park. They'd hire him from Hollywood, and he was the Indian. They always had an Indian, but he was the best. He drew such crowds. He'd get them all laughing, telling his jokes. They loved him. We'd come in and sit down at break, and he says, oh my God, look at this. 6 phone numbers and 3 marriage proposals. And he'd sit there and throw it on the table and laugh. I said, my God, you need to go to Hollywood. And he goes, yeah, I should try that sometime. I had no idea he already made so many movies. He never told me, because like in his culture, you're not allowed to talk about yourself. I had no idea. And he just says, you're right, I ought to try that sometime. But then he would come back and say, oh, they were going to give me $20 million, but I wouldn't cut my hair. I got a lead part for Dances with Wolves, and I that's the equivalent of a Christian selling their soul. He goes, I can't do it. And he didn't even want it for himself. He said it was for the res kids to feed them. It was not even for himself. And I was like, wow, what a great man. I said, God's going to bless you so big just for thinking that way. And he said I had to do something else. He couldn't tell me what he did, but now I found him. He's riding a horse in the background, attacking a cowboy in the river for the river battle scene. I had a dream. It said, look for my makeup that I always wear, my war paint. I found him, and I went, oh my God, it's even the scar on his side where he told me he got stabbed in real life. That's him. But I'm able to find him in many movies and things by what he couldn't tell me and what he was trying to tell me. And he would give little hints, and I'm remembering. So I'm finding all these pictures and stuff of him and film and all over the place going, oh my gosh, look at all he did. I never knew. But I'm glad there's speeches and film of him, because I miss his entire life after that. And I feel like I missed my own life in a way. And I was like, why couldn't I have been with him, God? And he said, no, he had to be married to his purpose. There was millions of children that needed him for food and just hope. He was like a father figure to them. He didn't have time for a wife. And there's people that love me, and then there's people that are mad at me. And they're mad he believed in Jesus. Back in the day, he didn't. They want the old Brian back. And then many are happy he is the way he is. I'm like, he has free will. Let him do what he wants. He's a grown-ass man. Don't get your panties in a bunch. He's a grown-ass man. He has free will. Just let him do what he's going to do and love him anyway. That's what you do with everyone, no matter what they believe. And I told him way back then, I would love to someday marry you, no matter what you believe in. When I called 3 months ago, I thought maybe he still hated Jesus. I don't know. But he treated me with such respect. And he wouldn't say I love you, but he showed it all day, every day, so much. I thought, oh my gosh, I'm going to contact him someday if I ever see he's single and he's old, and I'm going to try again. And then I got my hopes up because I saw he was single. My hopes went way up. I got so happy. And then I found out, oh my God, I saw the word memorial, and my heart just sank, and I literally went crazy for like 3 months. I lost my freaking mind, because my mind couldn't accept. I was trying to call him finally to say hello, and it ended up being, I couldn't even say goodbye. So then I had visions, him telling me, I'm not dead. Quit crying. You're crying so hard. Stop it. I'm not dead. He said, I'm very alive, and we're just in 2 different places. And you'll be here sooner than you think. And I was like, whoa. And he's had to say that multiple times, and I would feel the presence of God. And he says, don't ever seek me out. Demons will show up. Don't ever do it. Let God show up, and if he chooses to let me come through on my own and give you a message, that's fine, but don't ever seek me. I said, oh, I won't. Only Jesus can seek out the dead. Otherwise, it's witchcraft. You don't ever do that. But I would wait, and every time a thunderstorm happens with lots of lightning or tornado type activity, the presence of God shows up, and Brian did too, and I would smell sage, and all of a sudden I would have a vision of him. Real short ones, real short, quick messages. One of them, he was dancing. I just saw him dancing with the real David, and I just cried and cried. It was so beautiful. And over, every time I was completely despairing, once I was laying in bed crying really hard, and by itself on my laptop at my desk, popped on the Paul Wilbur song. Oh, there he is. Look at the view of this, guys. Oh my God, look at that. God, that's beautiful. They're all beating the drums and shofars. But by itself, it popped on that Paul Wilbur song, Let the Weight of His Glory Fall, and Holy of Holies, 2 songs together, and it showed like clouds and mountains and stuff, and it came on by itself like 5 times. Every time I was despairing, and it was always during a thunderstorm when this would happen. It would come on by itself, once on my phone, a couple times on my laptop, once on this television right here, like this video did today. And I went, does anyone know, did Brian like those songs? Someone must know. I must have a witness somewhere. Because I'm telling you, I didn't touch that computer. I was laying in bed crying, and it came on. And I went and looked at it and went, my God, he's here. He's saying, God, let me through for a second and just let her know I'm okay. She's crying so hard. But I smelled sage and went, oh my goodness, that's Brian. And he's 100% with Jesus. He's 100% so happy where he is. When he arrived there in one short vision, he said there was 5 children, 3 boys and 2 girls, and they were his. And he said, God said, hey, I got to introduce you to, you have people waiting for you. And he said, Cheryl, I got to show you something. And I grabbed his arm 3 times and felt it. It was so real. I was like, oh my God, but I couldn't hang on. It kept sliding off. And he says, come here, I just got to show you something. And he was playing with the kids, splashing and making faces and laughing. And I didn't get it. I was like, what's going on? And finally he looks up at me and says, Cheryl, they're mine. They're mine. I didn't know they were here. I don't know how they got here. I just know they're here, and I'm happy I get to play with my kids now. And then it hit me what happened. I was like, whoa. And then the dream ended, and I woke up. Look at that. There he is. Look at that view. He's right behind Lou Engle, in front of Rita Bergray. But what a gift. This just popped up, and on its own, maybe AI is helping me. I think God's definitely in there, too. To me, the supernatural is more real than the natural. People think I'm completely crazy. I am kind of crazy, but I'm also right, because it all came true. I told him every day, like, when you can't touch the love of your life because it makes you want them more. And it wasn't just lust. People are misunderstanding me. Yeah, there was lust there. Of course, he's gorgeous. He was in a loincloth at the time. He's gorgeous. Of course I'm going to think that. But there were times I just wanted to curl up and hug him, and I couldn't. With no lust at all. Just wanting to hug him. Just wanting to curl up and go to sleep or hear the heartbeat through his chest. Like, and God said, no. And I'm like, am I a bad person? He says, no, you're great. You would be a great wife. I don't want him to do that. I want him to be married to his purpose. You're going to have to just tell him how anointed he is, that he has a giant assignment. Say it over and over every day, every time you want to touch him. And people are accusing me. Oh my God, I got accused. You just want a piece of ass. I'm like, dude, you just insulted Brian. He chose me every day, 3 times a day. I would literally walk away, and he wouldn't walk. He liked to run everywhere for some reason. He didn't walk much. And he would just come flying over, and no matter where I was, he would find me. And he'd go, you want to go to lunch with me? And I half the time I'd go, hell yeah. Sometimes I'd be like, yeah, sure. And there were groupies that would follow him. Sometimes I'd joke around and go, are you done with all your women yet? And he says, yeah, that's how I make the big bucks. And I said, yeah, you're right. You're doing your job. And we would just go on over to his old dressing room and have lunch. And I said, you want to go to the big lunchroom? And he always said, no. A lot of people don't like Indians in there. They're racist, so I'll stay here by myself. And if you want to, you can join me. And I said, okay. And sometimes it rained so much, it rained for a month. And I would, every day, all day, I'd be in there. And I said, am I wearing out my welcome? Am I here too long? Do you want me to leave? And he says, do you want to leave? And I said, no. And he said, then please stay with me. And I said, oh, cool, okay. And we would just, he never did the farting thing. Everyone's talking about him joking around farting. The closest it came to that once, he goes, I had to use the bathroom. We need to go outside. I said, turn on the fan. He goes, it's not working enough. We need to go outside. And that was it. He never did that. Any of that fart jokes, things around me. Everyone says, oh, we had to take 2 years to get him to even talk to us. That never happened to me either. We talked right away. Probably because I was taking pictures of families, wanting to be in the whole picture with him, so they could all make the memory with him. That's part of your job as a street cleaner, is finding lost children, giving directions, and taking photos. And he kept me so busy with the photos. We ended up talking, and I had an Indian necklace on all the time, and I had a mohawk under my hair. And one day he walked up and took his fingers and ran it through my hair. He didn't touch my scalp. He just lifted up my hair. He goes, are you Mohawk Indian? I'm all, but I'm white. Like, why would you say that? And he goes, when the wind blows, I see your mohawk underneath. And I said, you notice that? And I said, I have some Mingo Indian, but I'm half Swedish. I'm white. I'm white. Like, I have a dash of Mingo in there somewhere. And he goes, that necklace. And I said, well, I got it at a swap meet. I just thought it was cool. And I do love Indian stuff from my grandma telling me stuff and showing me pictures of ancestors. And he says, can I see it? And because I said, yeah, tell me if it's real bone or not. And he looked at it, yeah, that's real bone. I said, you can have it if you want. And he goes, no, here, put it on. And if I left it in the car, he'd say, right away in the morning, I'd be trying to get ready for work. And he's like, I'd be getting all my stuff, ready to clean the street, instead of using my locker at our break room, I'd use his little office and put my purse in there. I was there so much. He became my world that whole time. My first job, this man literally was my world, okay? I couldn't wait to go to work. I couldn't wait for each break. I couldn't wait. At the end, he'd walk me to my car. He asked me out to dinner a bunch of times, and I said, I literally have to go home. Or I have to go to work, or have to do this, have to do that. I was just I couldn't. And he says, okay, well, if you ever can, please tell me. And I felt bad because I really couldn't. And he tried, and he did. I did go to 2 powwows. He bought me fry bread dinner. Yeah, and he said it was real buffalo meat. That kind of was cool. And then we were just best friends. He'd make me laugh every day. Every single day. I've never laughed. I laughed till my face hurt. I've never laughed that much in my life. And I had something so traumatic happen to me. He literally put the light back in my eyes. He brought the laughter back to me. The joy. He made me feel so safe. I was completely safe with this man. He was a very high integrity man. Never scared me. Never tried to do anything nasty. Never, nothing. He just very respectful. Extremely. But he would say he loved you in other ways. He'd just look at me and randomly smile. And I'd say, what? And he's like, I'm not telling. Just cute things like that all day. Just random little things that the way people say I love you without saying it with words. He'd do that all day long. And I'd tell him, oh gosh, I'm falling in love with this 1800s time traveler. And he'd go, really? What's his name? And I said, some guy named BRIGHTCLOUD. He'd laugh. So he knew I loved him. And after 3 years, he said, I gotta tell you something. And I go, what? Well, that's Bill Pagaran from Alaska right there, by the way. But anyways, he says, I gotta tell you something. And I go, what? He goes, after 3 years, every day, 3 or more times a day when I call you to break, he says, every time you look at me, your eyes light up like a Christmas tree. And it has since day one. It never stopped. And I said, Brian, I will always look at you like that. And I said, to me, you do look like a big Christmas tree. And he goes, I just can't get over it. Every time you look at me, your eyes just light up like a Christmas tree. And it's been 3 years. And every day I told him, if God will let me, I'll tell you every day the rest of your life that God painted the most beautiful Indian he could imagine. And then he made him real and named him BRIGHTCLOUD. And I get to look at him every day. And I said, every day I told him this, sometimes more than once a day. And mostly at lunchtime. Oh, look at that view. Oh my God, what a gift. Look at that, looking right at the camera. What a gift. I'm going to watch this again and listen to the whole thing in a minute here. But, and then I'd say, If God will let me, I'll tell you every day the rest of your life. Seriously, you are the most beautiful man I've ever seen, and inside and out, like in my whole life. And I'll tell you that every day the rest of your life. And he goes, I believe you. You said it for 3 years already. I said, I'm serious. I'll tell you that to the day I die. You are the most beautiful man I've ever seen in my whole life, inside and out. And well, really, God painted the most beautiful Indian he could imagine and made him real, and you're him. And he would just look at me like, wow. And I guess some part of him needed that, because he kept calling me over every day. He didn't get bored of me. But people are accusing me of bad things, and we never had sex. We never did anything. There was a great love there, though. Not a regular love, a great love. And every time he'd say, will you braid my hair for me? Or, can I hold your hand or something? I would get sometimes I'd get a big shock, like a big shock. Sometimes I'd feel the Holy Spirit, and sometimes I'd just be like, oh my God, you're so holy. I feel like I can't touch you, because God's saying to me, you have a big assignment and I can't marry you. And if I touch you, I'm going to want to marry you. Like, I want to play in your hair forever. Like, I want to braid your hair every day. I do. I'm glad you're asking me, but it's making me love you so much more. I literally stopped halfway through one braid. He goes, you can't even braid one side of my head? I'm like, you don't understand. I love you so much. It's making me want to marry you. And God said, I'm going to have to let you go someday, because you have a giant assignment, a giant calling on your life. I don't know what it is, but it's something big. And I said, for someone who doesn't want me to talk about certain things, you sure have a big calling on your life. And he just looked at me like, he never disagreed with me. He kind of looked off in the distance like he was thinking, or he looked down. But when people accuse me of bad stuff, it's very upsetting. My story matters too. This guy was my world the whole time. It was my first job. I was working at Knott's Berry Farm. And, or what are they going to say? You never worked there too? People are calling me a liar. They're calling me a whore. They're saying I'm trying to make it like he's a man whore. Things like that. Like, I'm telling the truth. Like, I don't understand why people are coming at me like that. And oh, they don't know you. Well, we only worked together. I went to 2 powwows and didn't meet anybody, and then I had to go. I watched him dance. It was beautiful. He had his face painted black, he had the whole full regalia. He went through the opposite direction as everyone else, right down the middle of traffic. I couldn't believe it. They all moved over and let him through. They were like nodding their head at him. It was like the lions showed up. I was like, wow, look at how beautiful. And I didn't realize it was his powwow. And later he told me, yeah, that was my powwow. I'm like, wow. And he told me of nightmares. If he didn't keep starting powwows, he would get horrible nightmares of screaming. Women and children screaming, being murdered for dancing their prayers. And some were even Christian. But they didn't care. They wanted the land, and they murdered them all. And starting with like the ghost dancers or something. And he said it just haunted him. And he said he has to start powwows because he wanted to make it mainstream now that it was legal again. He wanted to become so mainstream there was powwows on every corner as much as there were churches. Because he said, that's our church. We dance our prayers and we're outside. That's our church. And he said there needs to be as many powwows as there are churches every weekend, everywhere. And everyone needs to join us that stands with us. You don't have to be an Indian. You could be, anything. Whites too. Anybody. Anyone that would fight with them, stand with them, was welcome into the circle to dance. I never did do that. I showed up twice, ate dinner, and stayed a little bit and had to leave. But that's why I didn't get to know anybody. I was working with him and I had to go home. But he did try to ask me out all the time. And but he was wonderful, wonderful person, extremely loving. He rescued me when a guy attacked me in the bathroom once in Ghost Town. Was waiting in the women's bathroom and I was cleaning it. And I almost didn't get away. I thought he was going to kill me. Like, it was nuts. And I had such a panic attack. He appeared out of nowhere. How does a big guy with a headdress appear out of nowhere? Like, how'd that happen? He appeared out of nowhere, got between us and scared the crap out of the guy. And the guy started running. He got the craziest look, like, this Indian's really going to kill you. Like, I've never seen his face do that. I was like, whoa, it scared me, and I was the one he was defending. I was like, holy crap, don't make him mad. he really looked at the guy like he was going to kill him. And then the guy ran, and I was in such a panic. I couldn't breathe, and he was like doing a breathing thing to calm me down, and spent like, oh my God, spent almost an hour with me just calming me down, at least 45 minutes at least. And that's when I told him some stuff that happened to me. And he just was so, he made me feel so safe. And he says, okay, I told him, will you go tell them to clock me out and have someone replace me the rest of the day? I can't do this. I need to go home. And I said, I don't even know if I can drive. And he goes, just stay here. Just stay here. It's okay. He goes, I'll sit with you a while. I might have to go back out and work a little bit, but I'll come in here a lot and check on you and stuff. And he pretty much just spent the rest of the day with me. We had both clocked out, and he was just making sure I was okay. It really scared me. I said, I'm afraid to go to my car. So that's when he started walking me to my car that day. Because I was literally afraid to walk to my car that day because of that guy. Like, I was like, that freaked me out. But he was so very protective of all women and children. High integrity man. So when anyone talks crap, it really pisses me off. Calling me a whore, saying I want a piece of ass, calling him a man whore, things like that's uncalled for. Like, oh wow, look at that view. Look at that view. This is such a gift. I'm going to watch this all over again. He's got the red drumstick. But all these people, at least I know, it all came true. I didn't give him up for nothing, even though I never got to say goodbye or spend my last days with him. I'm finding all these videos, and they're popping up. This one popped up on its own. I was just watching TV, and it just came up. Look at that view. My goodness. And all these wonderful people, God put him in the best hands in the world so he could live out his destiny. And he helped millions of children. I remember him saying he would drive his truck 2 trips, fill it with food, all the way to Arizona and back. He would go till he dropped, trying to feed those kids. He could not stand the thought of one hungry res kid. He said, if there's one that's hungry, I'm not working hard enough. I was like, wow. And he said, I can't. He has such a heart for adoption, fatherly, speaking good over the kids. Don't ever kill yourself. Get an education. Help somebody. You know, don't let no one tell you that you're created bad. You're perfect the way you are. And he helped me with my own self-esteem. I had a bad view of myself, and he really built me up. He never once talked down to me, never called me a bad name, only spoke good of me, and he made me feel so good about myself. I never met anyone like that in my whole life. But I had my heart set on him since I was 19. And I did go on and went ahead and married other people. I settled, and it was horrible relationships. I had some good ones too, but I never felt like that for anyone else. And then I spent the last, 15 years or more celibate. I just was like, I'm done settling. I'm just going to wait. And if he ends up single, I'm going to try and grab him. If he's old enough that his assignment might be slowing down. And now, guess what? He never slowed down. If anything, it got worse. He was running out of time and had so much he wanted to do. And he was doing all he could till the very end. So now I'm more in love with him, even though he's gone. And I've never mourned in my whole life. And they said, the amount of your love is the amount of the waves of grief hitting you. And I went, no wonder I'm getting beat to death. I love him bigger than the biggest tsunami you can imagine. And it's a good thing the only one I love more than him is Jesus, because that's what kept me alive. And now I'm finally getting over the initial impact of it. And I know he would want that native Bible that just came out to the world. I know he would want kids fed. There's things I'm going to dedicate my life to help continue his work. And that's just going to help me go on without him. But yeah, for those that hate me, let's up those hater numbers, because it means I'm doing something right. If everyone likes you, something's wrong with you. If people hate you, you're doing something right. So you know what? Be mad, be super mad. Here's a cape. Be super mad. Let's up those hater numbers, baby, because that man loved me, and I loved him too. He knows who I am. God knows who I am. If you have a doubt, you put on some praise music, and you raise your hands till God himself tells you who I am. I am not lying. I'm not a groupie. I never once chased him. He came to me, invited me every single time, and I always said yes. So accuse me all you want to. I've done nothing wrong. All I did was love the man. That man was my world.